follow this man. Oh my gosh, you're obviously got it going on, and I'm gonna look into the people you've mentioned and give them a shout, and big thumbs up too, man. Thanks for coming on to Drivewire Radio, brother.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Cool. Have a good one. Okay.
All right, man.
That was sweet. Just saying, that was straight up rad. Holy, learned a lot from that guy. Like, whoa, that's serious. That's like the next level. You understand? That's crazy. Now I see. Here it is. Everything I waited for right now. Yo, welcome to Drivewire Radio. This is Carter. We got Marshall in house today. Really excited here. You're doing your own thing under the band name Marshall.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, seriously grateful. As you probably know, as a lot of our guests know, what we're aimed at here is finding ways that artists can actually start to turn it into a business, find the entrepreneurial side of art. But also, I want to catch up with what you're doing. So, really, first question, can't miss this. Like, how are you doing for COVID? Are you okay? Like,
oh my
what
God.
the hell?
Well, you know what? I think the hardest part for a lot of people, a lot of musicians, is not being able to get on stage and perform, right? Because, you know, if you would have told me back in March, like, hey, you're going to have to lock up for a couple of months and you just got to write and you just got to, you know, make music and create, I've been like, okay. But after that, I want to be able to get back on stage and, you know, interact with the fans and feel that energy. And that's a big part, man. And it's not just the musicians. I think, you know, I have a lot of friends that are in the, you know, in the crew and sound people and tour managers, and everybody in this industry is really being affected because they live and die on live shows, you know. And so I think that's probably the hardest part. But you know, I mean, I like to find the positivity in everything, and you know, things happen for a reason, and we're here to figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. You find the positivity. I'm going to put that. I'm going to take a couple notes from you today. Are you using this time? Like I was just watching right now, a few of the videos, and I'm seeing like cut videos that are just you in your house, and and you got like, you know, 7 or 8 different videos on one screen. And is that kind of out of the boredom of COVID? Or are you just trying to like strategically make as much content as possible? Like, what do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, content's king. We all know that, but that video was kind of just boredom. It was like, you know, what can we do? This is it video. The original. I'm, you know, basically naked the whole time.
You're entirely naked the whole time.
Yeah. So it was like, can we do a video that you know, you have clothes on and stuff? I was like, okay, well, maybe a couple of these guys.
Fair enough. A safe for work video. I got, yeah. So let's go there now. I was laughing like hysterically. When I first listened, I listened for the music more or less with my eyes closed. I noticed that you were naked, but then I watched the second time and I caught the little snippet at the end where the lady like calls you and is like, oh yeah, I do the gardening. And that's amazing, man. Where's the how? Like, where did that happen?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, you know, you mentioned before, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get into in the future, so I don't want to screw up too much, but I really have done a specific job with creating a great team that I work with when it comes to the video content. So I have a director named Chris Stacy, and I have a Steadicam operator named Brian Trebe, and they are both, you know, top echelon in their industry. You know, Brian's probably one of the best, if not top 3 live Steadicam operators in the friggin' world. Wow. And Chris Stacy is just this, you know, fantastic director that just makes beautiful content. And so they're both in LA, and Chris has a really good contact with I guess a real estate guy basically. And Chris creates short films. You know, like typically you would go and you would walk through a house.
Right.
Before you buy a house, you get that virtual thing, right?
Gotcha.
So Chris does that, except he builds a short film around that so that people see, you know, there's acting and stuff going on. Long story short, he has a great contact to these mansions. So we, like at the 25th hour, I think it was 10 p.m. on Wednesday, our shoot time was 9 a.m. Thursday. We didn't even have a concept yet. Chris showed me this old video that he did for one of these mansions, and it was the real estate agent taking advantage of this mansion. He was in the hot tub naked or whatever, and we said, okay, maybe we can vamp off that. And that was it. It was just like are you okay with being naked all day? And I was like, well, so we ended up
Oh my
so, and
gosh.
I mean, they're my two boys, right? So it's like, okay, if you guys are good to deal with this, then yeah, like let's do it. I mean, I had
It's just so funny. Like the whole
I know.
concept is hilarious. And the lyrics are, I imagine when you were writing the lyrics, they're like very positive, law of attraction. Like, here it is, everything I want right now. This is it. Like, and then the contrast that with just a
Dude,
ridiculous, like it took it from I'm building my own life and this is like responsibility in me, to then
yeah.
like I'm totally like being a parasite on this other person in their house and this is it. Like, that's so funny, man. I love that.
So, honestly, when we decided that This Is It was going to be the first single, and we sent it around to a couple people, we made sure we just sent them the MP3 first so that they would actually listen to the song. Because if you see the video, you like, you said earlier, you don't hear the song the same way. And if you have to almost listen to the song first and then be like, oh, okay, I get what it's about. And then
Yeah.
watch the video. Because if you don't, it changes your entire view. And which is
Huge.
funny,
Yeah.
right? It's funny how music can do that. It can translate, and just by adding a visual completely changes the meaning for you.
So then for artists who, I always say, look, I can't give you talent, but once we have talent, let's talk. So for artists who are talented musically, or let's say visually, or whatever, if they have the base talent, like in your opinion, Marshall, it's smart for them to also look into the tangentials. So like, hey, put a good picture with it, put a good image with your band. Is it worth spending time on those things?
Well, I mean, I think especially with where we are these days, that question 10, 15 years ago is probably answered different. But I mean, social
Really?
media rules the world, right? So if you're not putting some sort of visual content, that like, music is almost 4D now, right? You have that visual content has to come with the audio in almost every element. Either you're watching it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter,
Wow.
whatever, TikTok, like all of these things are visual.
Yeah.
And so most people are viewing that music before they're hearing it. And it changes the way you respond to it.
Yeah. I want to put people watch music now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not really hear it. That's wild. So then building a team, obviously to have a career like you've had, you mentioned having like a world-class team. That's something that I really think is important. For you, what are the most important parts of team? Like and how do you find such elite people? Like, okay, I have talent, I'm in Toronto. How do I know to find Chris Stacy, that hopefully that was the appropriate name,
Yeah,
in LA, like aside from watching Drivewire Radio, shameless plug there. Well, how do you find them though? Like, where are these people? Are we just Googling best director? Like, how does that go?
You know what? A lot of the times it's just meeting people in the industry, right? It's just the old school. Hey, I met you at a video. I met you at a shoot, and that's Chris did a lot of videos in the Walk Off the Earth days, and he did the Walk Off the Earth Christmas movie, and that's actually where I met Brian, who was the Steadicam operator. It's just through Chris, who was DP, and then Brian was shooting that, and I lived in LA up until last year for 5 years. And so, it's like you got these Canadian homies in LA and we just hang out and then you shoot the shit. And it comes down to the right team, everyone's on the same page and you all believe in the same project, right? To me, as soon as you have a team where it's about money or it's about what am I going to get out of this, um, then it's not always the right people. And now you're going to get really talented people if you take that direction. Yeah, I want to pay top dollar, and I don't care if you see the project the same way that I do, but I want your product, right?
Mm,
Well, then you're just buying a product. But the right team is the right people that all believe in the same outcome, which is success.
wicked cool, man. And it's just a lot of times you hear it, like just go and meet them and be friends with them. And I met with a guitarist once from Metalworks, the school I went through in Toronto, and he before he even graduated a 2-year program, was playing with one of the biggest country bands in Canada. And I asked him how he did it. And he's like, I spent more in gas money going to the bars to meet these people than I did in tuition. And it was an expensive school. And that really blew my mind. And he's like, dude, I would just wrap the cables and they would see me doing it the right way, you know, not hand over elbow, and talking to them and meeting them. And sooner or later they invite you for a drink. And then sooner or later you hang out. And then sooner or later you jam and they hear you play. And then they're like, oh shit. And then there's a guitarist who's sick. And then it's like, hey, can you come in his, and it just is like that. It's like a weird, just get there and shake these hands.
Yeah, you got to create opportunities for yourself. But and everything you just said is bang on, right? But I think what actually happens in a lot of those situations is at the start, maybe you go out of your way to meet these people, but then you actually become friends with them. You know, like when you're on tour and you're out, you know, wrapping up cables after a show and you're hanging out with these people, you create genuine friendships that last your entire life. And so once that happens, you know, you're really on the same page.
I love that. And then you can also, I imagine, because look, anybody who hasn't recorded knows that like different people, like you walk in one person, you go through the door, you're a different person in the studio. So
Sure,
if you're
yeah.
genuinely friends, it might be easier to say, hey, like get your shit together.
Exactly.
Or they could say
Yeah,
that to you, maybe.
exactly. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know if this is too personal. What was the motivation for going on your own? Was there a motivation there? Was it, hey, I just want to try something new? Like,
Yeah, I mean, was there a motivation? It was almost just following my gut, right?
cool.
And um, to 2019 was a mess. It's funny, like everyone's saying 2020 is a shit show. 2019 was really hard for me. You know, I lost one of my best buddies and Mike Beard Guy Taylor through walk off, and he was a big part of everything to me when it came to music. And not just me, like we all, you know, all of us didn't walk off the earth,
100%,
and all
man.
of,
You're close,
right,
you know,
his
band.
family. And those people become your family, right? And so it was like, and Mike, I had started the Marshall Project before that, late 2018, and he was always a big fan of it. You know, was always very positive. And I don't know, there was just something that changed in me at the top of the year in 2019. I was like, you know, um, timing is weird in life, and if you don't follow your gut at certain times, you don't get another chance to do it. And so I didn't know if it was the right time. And, you know, I talked to the people in the band. It was like, look, this is what I'm thinking. And that was it.
They supported you. They were good people about it.
Yeah, man.
Love that. Love that. And it must have been scary, like following your gut, and then but your head isn't necessarily on board. So did you just kind of jump and plug your nose, or was there deliberation, talking to other people, or
Uh, jump and plug your nose. That's good. I
I made
have
you
a,
laugh. Okay, we'll put that out there. I
I
love
have
it.
an amazing manager. Her name's Allison Taylor, and she's been with me, you know, just outside of Walk Off the Earth, because I do a lot of writing and I do a lot of production and stuff outside of. I did outside of Walk Off, and she so, you know, obviously I had a lot of talk with her about, okay, if we do this, how are we going to do it, and so yeah, there was a lot of talk obviously behind it, and how are we going to go about it, and are we ready to do it. But that all happened, you know, um, prior to doing it, obviously. But
So
yeah, there was a little bit of jump and plug your nose. Yeah,
yeah, well, you have to, like you said, if you don't, and then maybe life doesn't ever afford you another opportunity. So,
exactly.
and I respect it. I see a lot of people who don't do that, and they didn't have the career that you had, and you're obviously doing the opposite of the crowd, and you're getting the opposite result. And that's why I like to talk to people like you. Like, I really mean that. There's nothing coy there. And you mentioned how, so I'm starting to piece the puzzle together, because you're doing your thing, you're at walk off. Obviously, it's huge hours for that, but then you're like, look, I'm writing and producing on the side. So you're with managers and teams who are saying, hey, how can we make multiple streams out of your talent? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Really
exactly. It
cool.
was just trying to create as many revenue streams as possible. Yeah.
That's wicked smart. So just for somebody who's maybe, again, got talent, but they haven't ever really thought of that, can you mention like the variety of ways that somebody could actually earn instead of just through shows?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would still say for successful touring artists, the most money you're going to make is definitely playing shows before. like prior to COVID, let's
Yeah,
say,
and
right?
after. It will eventually go away.
It
Knock on
will come
wood,
back.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So I think, you know, if you're looking, where can I make the biggest money? It's definitely playing shows and merchandise and stuff like that. But, you know, a quick second to that is definitely writing. And it's not always about the record deals. Sometimes it's about the pub deals, and it's about, um,
That's right.
are you writing for yourself? Do you feel like you can write for other people? And just getting in the room. And I was able to get a publishing deal with Cobalt in LA right before I moved there. And, you know, it's just getting into that grind and just getting in and getting in as many rooms as possible with as many, you know, really talented writers. And if you have the right people around you, then you get some good opportunities. And it comes back to the same thing at the bar, you know. Um, hey, oh, you're a writer? Cool. And that was how I met one of my best friends now is Jocelyn Alice, Canadian artist. And we met where she opened up a walk-off show in Windsor. And I said, you know, I know you write a lot. I love Jackpot. I love all your stuff. If you ever want to write, let's write. And she said, oh, I'm moving to LA. I said, I already live in LA. When you get there, let me know. And then that was it. And we started writing together. And we became great friends. And, you know, it's such a small knit group in Canada that you really can get to know a lot of people really fast. Obviously, it's a lot bigger in LA and in the States, but there's just so many different ways to make money in music. Obviously, you can go outside of performing or writing, and there's management and all that stuff. But staying right with inside the artist level, you know, you can write, you can produce, not just write. You can just do lyrics, you can top line, you can produce.
What do you mean
And
top
then,
line?
well, top line is more like, you know, like a melody guy that's just
Okay.
going to come in and sing the right melody, and also do lyrics. And you know, back in the old days, there was a lot of different versions. It was like you always had to have these 3 or 4 person writing teams. And now there's so many hybrid people. You get these amazing producers that are also lyricists and also top liners and also melody people. And so it's easy to do 2 person writing sessions now, which is, you know, during COVID has been really cool because you can do these Zoom sessions and you can do these virtual sessions and not have too much lag between everybody.
Yeah, man. I really, really like that. And so I'm just again picking up another pattern that you're kind of saying. It's almost like I went to Luxembourg one time and they speak over there just casually like 8 languages, right? Like
Yeah,
they just do. And
yeah,
it seems like what you're saying is the people that you're around, they just do like 8 things. Like, you know, you have the people who can write the hook and the lyrics and the background and the chord and the structure and the, you know, the and even do 4D now. So they're getting into pictures and videography and
right.
all of that as well. That's cool, man. So is the industry getting more tough on what it's demanding from someone to be successful, or do you think people are just building smarter teams or
Well, I think the industry is getting more tough because there's just so much content and there's so much competition, right? It's
yeah.
so easy to get music out there now, especially through TikTok and everything that it's done for so many artists in the last year. Um, I think that's probably that's created the most competition in my eyes. And so when you have that competition, then you got to get the right team, and that's what's forcing people to get the right teams on board to be able to figure out how do we compete.
Yeah. And when it comes to content, like it seems to me that the more content is made, the harder it is to get your content like to shine through. You have to have a brighter diamond, so to speak. Has that played into how you're making content? Like, are you trying to do things differently? Are you trying to go viral, or are you just making a ton of content and you're like, yeah, so it'll get the demand it gets? Like, how is what's have you, do you have a strategy for that?
Dude, I mean, whoever has the answer to that is going viral, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's probably the hardest line to cross is like, at what point do you lose your creativity and do you lose your integrity as an artist where you're trying to do something that isn't really yourself?
Right.
Um,
Is it, and that's the question that I had for you. Like, I think just about everybody understands how when it originally exploded, it was 5 people or 6 people and one guitar, and it was Gattoyer, and like, and the song, the professionalism, the production, but also like it's the added challenge of only one instrument with 5 different people. Like, are you trying to go viral with stuff, or no, I'm just making as good a content as I can humanly make as Marshall, and then it goes where it goes?
Yeah, I mean, they're completely different scenarios, right? Like Walk Off the Earth. Um, Johnny and I started Walk Off the Earth in like 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were doing, it was a 3-piece, and we were doing Warp tours, and we were doing, play the local clubs and all that. Like we did the grind, right?
Right.
And then it was, okay, I don't want to get in a big white band van with a trailer and tour across Canada to just do 6 shows. Like I don't want to do that drive. How do we do that from home? And YouTube had just came out in 2008. Like YouTube was nothing. And we jumped on, I give a lot of props to Johnny for doing the research that he did, and basically figured out part of the YouTube algorithm at the time. And we're like, okay, if we do all these hashtags and do a cover song for this, then when they come to our site, they're also going to watch Money Tree or whatever our single was at that time, right? And so it was the same marketing that you would see if you go to a live show. Say I go to, I don't know, I can't even think of a band right now, but there's always a cover in the set. Because if you've never seen that band before, especially if it's an opening band, if you've never seen that band before, they always throw a couple covers in, so you can be like, oh, I know this song. Because as soon as you have some sort of recognition, then you listen closer to the band and you're like, no shit, that's a really cool way that they did that. Maybe I will check out the original stuff now. And that was always the marketing plan for the original Walk Off stuff when it came to YouTube. And then it blew up and everybody did it. And
Yeah.
everybody's still doing it. And
Yeah.
so it worked really well for us.
Yeah.
Obviously it worked fantastic, and that catapulted all of our careers.
And I love that. I love that you mentioned the cover thing too, because it seemed to me that a lot of the stuff that was online was covers, and then a lot of the stuff that was live when people showed up was your own. And I thought that was a really interesting way to go about it. Super smart. And so, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to moving forward. Are you doing something similar? Like you said, look, we got on YouTube right away. It was like 2 years old. Are you doing that? Like, okay, TikTok came out this, but as soon as the next one's born, I'm jumping on that as soon as possible. Like, is that
To be honest, no.
cool?
No, I'm not.
Good answer.
Now, yeah, I mean, is there a lane there where I could do that? I think obviously there is. But I'm just, you know, that was part of the change, right? That was part of moving away from Walk Off the Earth for now, and just doing, what my heart wants me to do, and playing a bunch of covers just isn't that right now.
Cool, man. No. I like that. And I'm definitely not suggesting that I think you should do that. I just wanted to know where you were thinking and what you were going. I'm really excited for this. So are you trying to get back into the touring thing? We're not even thinking that far because it's COVID. Like what's your strategy for now? Like it's weird.
Yeah, we had some really cool plays this year. We were going to do Sound of Music. We had Main Stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were going to play, I think, right before Dan Man again. And there was some really cool shows that we were booking around that. So, it sucks that didn't get to happen. And we'll see what happens after COVID. But like you said, I mean, for now, it's like anybody that's booking dates is just constantly sending out an email, or not an email, but an Instagram feed or whatever that says, oh, now they're moved to October. Oh, now they're moved to 2027.
Yeah.
Like it's just
I get it.
it's just like, let's hold on. And that was, to be honest, to get back to the multiple revenue streams, it's like, well, I love writing, I love creating. And so we'll just, we'll find the upside here, and we'll just kind of veer until things get straightened out.
Cool, man. I think that's really important. The entrepreneurial spirit of just, okay, how is this a good thing? How is this a good thing? How is this a good thing? Like you can tell right away when you're talking, you're not faking that. That's just like the mindset you have when you're thinking about stuff. What is your creative process? I'm curious. Now that you've been creating for so long, does it get easier, or do you still need to find the inspiration and let it kind of flow through you? Or do you have it on tap and you're on demand?
It gets harder, man. It
Really?
totally does.
Really?
Yeah, because you just always play the same chords. You're like,
oh,
I already
I
wrote
get
this
it.
song. I gotta go figure out a new chord structure, or I gotta capo this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Or even for me, like I don't write a whole lot lyrically. I write a whole lot instrumentally, and picking up a Telly instead of a Les Paul instead of a Strat, or having the
just
three,
that different sound.
even that little different sound, it can, oh yeah, that's it. So for you, it's how do I find something new?
Yeah, and I mean, look, the easy way is to just work with people And so, you continually change up, or you have a good group of people that are always bringing in fresh stuff. But when it comes to, if I'm just sitting down and creating on my own, my process is pretty simple. I figure out a chord structure, I sing a melody to it, and then I write the lyrics, and that's a song.
I love that. I love that. So I'm vibing these chords, and then it's, well, what fits the sound with these? And then, so
Yeah.
is that a challenge? Because a lot of times what I was told at music school, and it can be different for everyone, is like, hey, once you say some sentences and you say it over and over, a melody sort of appears out of the words you're saying. Like a melody sort of appears out of the words you're saying. Like it, there's a natural cadence, but you're doing
Mhm.
it the other way. You're finding the melody and you're like, okay, what words fit to this?
Yeah, I've only ever written one song that was lyrics first.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the hardest song I've ever written. I just can't do it. For me,
Wow.
it's almost the opposite. And there's different ways the brain works for this. And to me, melody has always been king. And I think there's a lot of proof to that when it comes to top 40 smashes, right? Like we can always sing that melody, but we can't always remember the words. And people always have the wrong words that they're singing to a certain melody. And so for me, it's, I might get this wrong. I think it's called onomatopoeia, which is really just, you might know this better than I do. I'm not really good with words, but
No worries.
uh, onomatopoeia is really just the sounds of how things are, right? And even back when you take this as far back as at some point when whoever started music was just creating a rhythm and creating sounds, and Aboriginal music that is almost just calls and shouts and sounds, and that's why to me a song like take it to Lumineers, hey ho or ho hey or whatever it is, like we're getting addicted to just ho. We really
No,
are,
you're
like
right. I'm
what,
laughing because
right?
it's true. I like
Yeah.
it.
And so for me, it's always about finding that melody first that goes with that chord structure that is hooky as shit and people are going to remember. And then, okay, now, uh, what, no, I guess you do always want to kind of have some sort of concept, but not develop a whole story lyrically, but you
I
want
get
to
it.
know what you're going to write about.
Yeah.
And so then once that melody appears for me, then it's kind of like, okay. And a lot of the times it's the opposite of what you said. The way that I sing the melody in has words in it. And so it's almost like translating. Oh, what is that melody? What did I actually say there? And then you can kind of move forward. And don't get me wrong, it's different for
Oh,
everybody.
okay.
But this is just what works for me.
No, I like that, man. And that's a really cool, honest, clear answer. I appreciate that. So for you, it's just pumping out a lot of content. Are you sending them? So when you write a song, do you start with like, oh, I would like to write for John Mayer, or do you write a song and then you're like, I could see, John Mayer singing this, and then just kind of fling it over his way? Are you intentional for someone, or are you writing it and then you're assigning the song to someone when you're sending it to
Different,
them?
it's different every time.
Okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
think I've been in all of those different situations, and sometimes if your pub company might reach out to you and be like, "Hey, we're looking for songs for John Mayer," be like, "Okay," they put you with a team, be like, "Okay, that's what we're trying to do. Oh, we're looking for songs for Rihanna. Okay, let's go and work with the people that are going to make that sound."
Awesome.
And then yeah, other times you're just sitting down writing the best. And look, I've been in so many sessions where we just kind of walk in and all you don't know each other and like, what do you want to do today? Let's just write the best song possible and then see
And
who
shop
it
it around.
sounds like. Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool, man. I really, really like that. Um, I think it also just, I want to break this down, because a lot of times an accomplished musician like yourself, or someone who's lesser into the market, but I understand the industry a little better. I just want to break this down, take 10 seconds for the audience. You mentioned it twice now. The difference between pub deal and recording deal. Publication, if you write the song, but someone else produces it, but the songwriter still gets a cut every time it's played or performed or anything like that. So in a sense, what Marshall's kind of explaining to us is, look, by writing this music and letting other people perform it, I'm getting sort of an intellectual leverage type thing. Like they are performing it, but I'm still getting a cut because it's a publication deal. The recording deal is on the other side, where you're actually the one who's making and owning the recording and the use of the recording itself. There are 2 deals for every piece of recording. And I think so many artists don't know that, and they just don't even understand, like, in the multiple streams, like you're saying, it gives you at least something when COVID strikes. Like, that's huge. The number of people who have been, like you mentioned earlier, completely wiped out, Marshall, it really has my heart. And that's why I'm doing this. I have a huge amount of knowledge that I learned from you in 31 minutes, brother.
Well,
No, seriously,
thanks for
this has
having me.
been really cool. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Like, starting even with find the positivity and content is king. You said, you're like, yeah, everybody knows content is king. No, that's what Drivewire is here to do, is like flip over the stones. Because like Wayne Gretzky was a really good hockey player, but he was a terrible coach. He sucked because he didn't
Sure.
know what he was doing. He was just doing it. Right. And so when it comes to this, I think a lot of these artists who are kind of way at the top or have had a career, they say, yeah, oh yeah, I'm mainly at pub deals and not at recording deals. Well, like, someone doesn't know who doesn't know that. So I want to kind of shine the light on that and help people. I love that you're building your career on genuine friendships. It's cool. I think a lot of people are trying too hard and they're not, and they're being assholes. But you're much more chill about it. Like, even the way we're interacting now, like, I like you more now than I did before I met you. You know what I mean? And if you're
Sure,
like
yeah.
that all the time, then you're kind of gathering the people, and then you get your choice of who you want to be with, and that's how you're finding the best. And then you get to know people in LA, and you're living down there, and you're making content naked in mansions.
That's you just wrapped up my entire life.
I
Real quick.
love that, man. No, I mean it. The fact that you're putting attention, and you said music is 4D now, I have to give you props. That's the first time I've heard that on the show. So it's pretty rare that we get a unique thing. That was completely unique, man. And you're right. I think the bands that I'm seeing that are having success, that I'm trying to bring to people with talent, is they have colors. There's a band here in Toronto that's called the Mono Whales, and their whole deal
Yeah,
is
I
like
know.
very few colors in every picture and every band photo, and it just is it's gripping. It gets your attention. You're like, damn, how could I'll never forget that. Easy melodies, easy to remember. Easy color scheme, also very easy to remember. And you're paying
Mhm.
attention to that, and it's putting you ahead. And I like that, man. And also that your team is all on the same page. That's so cool. Like you mentioned, just buying product versus being on the same page. I can see how being on the same page is a huge feather in your cap.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Look, I think having the right team, it's it's really hard to do, to get through the music industry on your own. It's friggin' hard, and you got to have people that believe in you first of all, right? And if they believe in you, then you know you can move on to the team thing. But working with people that are just looking for a buck is not the way to do it.
No, and the pressure, I think, that is created, like my art, this is about making money on art. I was not able to do that yet on guitar, but I sell windows, and I'm a designer in people's homes, and being able to build it on the creativity of sharing. Or there was a reason I was going to go there, but I lost it. It's all good. I have a
Well, I mean,
selfish.
look, dude,
Oh, go ahead.
I think as far as, you know, whether you'll be able to be creative on the guitar or whatever it is, like I've had a great time in this interview. I've done a lot of freaking interviews, you know, over the last 10, 12 years. And it's like, you're killing it. I wouldn't really put that away too quick, because I think you're doing a great job. And, you know, there's a world here. You got a really good brain for it. Your voice is kind of cool. You ask the right questions.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I want to ask you a very, very selfish question. Okay.
All right, hit me.
And
Oh,
then,
this is right where I go. Okay, you shouldn't be an interviewer anymore.
yeah. It's extremely selfish. But then what I want to do is allow you free roam. You have a huge fan for life in me, brother. Like, I mean it. I've been following Walk for like since high school, and everybody in high school, just like as an aside, they would see me with in my headphones between classes, like at lunch. I had a lot of friends, but I didn't talk to them. Like, I was just listening, and Walk was always there, man. I know it. So
What
huge.
was your go-to? What was your favorite walk song?
Oh
Early
man.
walk off, like before YouTube.
Because of the way that I play guitar, I'm left-handed, but I play a regular guitar.
Okay.
So my strumming hand was a little bit bastardized because of that. But now I can pick and pluck, and I'm better, and I'm decade in and all that. But when I first started, it was really about the acoustic stuff. So just
Yeah.
really that God's way. I probably listened to it a million times, like somebody, like
Yeah.
I really was there. And then also the combinations of songs, like oh man, Sarah Blackwood had one where it was just like, I don't remember the name of it, but this sound and the tone of her voice in it, it was like a love song on a boat. I remember the video, and I
Oh yeah,
fell
yeah,
in love
yeah.
with that and jamming. And there's one I meant to Google it and I didn't do it in time for this interview. It was called Queen and something. It was Streets in
Oh,
Toronto.
Corner of Queen. The Corner
Dude,
of
that
Queen.
song,
Yeah,
I love that song, man. It's just
that
like
was fun.
that kind of thing, like huge, into that, man. Really, really mean it. And if there's one other that really was a big one, but I cannot, it's just escaped me. If I think of it, I'll shoot you a text and be like, yo, this one, because it
Right on.
impacted me a lot. But since you're doing your own thing, I really do like, we had a conversation, and Dom, my guy, he was like, yo, don't talk about walk too much. I'm like, no, this is moving forward and I'm excited about that. But also I want to just give you props. Like I'm super excited, and seeing a piece of it go its own way and develop into its own thing is really cool, man. So I'm going to follow that big time. Selfish question, and then you're going to plug where people can follow you and see you and support you and buy your shit and listen to all your other stuff. Here's the selfish question. Okay, if you were in my shoes and
Yeah.
you like, I have creative freedom to build basically anything in terms of the content, in terms of how I want to reach this audience, and I want to be of maximum value. Um, how would you go about helping like teach other artists once they have talent what to do next, or where should I focus? What could I help them learn that would help them the most, in your opinion?
That's tough.
It is.
You know, the music industry has changed so much, right, in the last few years. Um, it really depends on like what style of music it is, to be honest. When it comes to the way my brain sees everything, it's like if you want to go pop, you have the largest group of people that you're competing against. And so you have to take the largest social media platforms and you need to own them. And so how are you going to do that? Is it going to be TikTok? Is it going to be Insta? Is it going to be whatever, right? And so how can you do that and also stay within the integrity of your project? And I think understanding how music gets out there and understanding playlisting and Spotify and the rest of it, the very first thing in my opinion is really understanding how the music gets into the listener's ears. And so it's either social media or it's through Spotify or it's through any of these you know, DSP formats or sort of streaming formats or whatever they are. Once you understand that, then you can kind of take, okay, well, this is the type of music I have. This is the lane that I need to fit in. And how do I get into that lane? And then you can build your team appropriately. But it's not like, you know, for me, I'll give you a perfect example. So when we decided to go to do the Marshall Project, um, for me, it's always been like a little bit of that alternative leaning edge, right? This is it, has a little bit of alternative feel. The stuff I have coming up next is still very alternative, um, versus where Walk Off was, which was really back into that top 40 format.
Mm.
And so I had to make a conscious decision to say, okay, well, I can't just go at finding, like, I had to figure out what lane Marshall and This Is It and the rest of the music was in before we could all get the same get the team all on the same page, right? And I think that's the biggest part is figuring out where your music fits, what lane that's in, and how do you get to the top of that lane. And if you're in pop, it's through TikTok and it's through Insta. And if you're in alternative, maybe it's different playlisting. And if you know, maybe it's radio, whatever it is. But I think that's probably the first thing to look at, in my opinion.
No, that was awesome. Because the first challenge that I had a year and a half ago when I realized I wanted to help artists figure it out was like, but that means I have to figure it out. And
Sure.
this was a really cool key of what's the actual, from the band to the art to the listener, how does it get on their iPod downloaded illegally from YouTube for me?
Sure.
For me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then for how is it getting there? Is it, and now it's going to be Spotify, it's going to be playlisting, it's going to be maybe radio, and it's going to be contextual to the genre. So that's really cool, man. Thank you. I will start paying attention to that and actually maybe do a video on that. Where can I buy your shit? Where can I like give you money for stuff and support you?
This is it is everywhere, right? I
Yeah.
mean, anywhere that streams, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, all the rest of it. My previous album, Layers, is the same thing. It's everywhere you can get it. We got new music coming out, probably top of the year, and They Call Me Marshall is all the handles. So Insta, Twitter. I think some of them have an underscore and some don't, but just look for the blue tick and you can find it.
Got you, man.
Don't, if you Google Marshall, you're gonna get a whole bunch of amplifiers that are gonna come up.
Yeah.
And then and then
right.
Eminem comes up. Like, I really screwed up on the marketing of the name of my band because it's just so many
I actually that was another question I had written down. Let's go there. So your name is like everything music already. Like Marshall Mathers is already there. You got Marshall Stacks. So in a sense, it's actually not. I don't think it's dumb at all. But because as soon as I hear the word Marshall, no matter where I am, I'm already kind of thinking music anyways, which is pretty cool. But then does it like make you blend in more too?
There's pros and cons, right?
Fair. Fair.
And for me, it was the easy one. Like, I've been called Marshall since I was in grade 3. I was in like one of those age groups where there was like 5 Ryans in the same class. And so
okay.
I was Marshall, and that was it. Like, dude, people have known me for 15, 20 years at times. I just aged myself really well, but people have known me a long time, and they meet my parents, and my parents are like, "Hey, Rye, whatever." They're like, "Who's Ryan?
What?
You got a brother?"
Your name is that?
15 years.
I've known you for this long, and I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I also just found out before this that you had a promo video for the NHL. That's so sweet.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Like, again, this is another income stream. I don't want people to be lost on that. I don't think money is weird. I think it supports people. And like, you found another way with one song to make another income stream. So like, how did that happen? Did you shop it to the NHL, or did they go, "Oh, this is cool and I want to use it"?
So, if we're really just trying to educate some people with this quickly,
Please.
There's a bunch of different inside writing. So we're talking about pub, we're talking about writing. So inside writing, there's multiple streams, right? You can write for other people, you can write for yourself, you can write for sync. Sync just means TV, film, commercials, things like that, where you're gonna get it. Maybe it's just an internet commercial, or maybe it's television, or maybe it's radio, or whatever it is. But that's just sync writing,
with
right?
someone else's video.
Exactly. And so This Is It is represented by an amazing sync team in the States called Secret Road. And that's what they do, man. They take your music and they find the right fit for it when it comes to TV, film, and commercials. And it's kind of one of those, avenues that a lot of musicians, especially during COVID, are like, oh, how do I get into that? But it's hard. There's a lot of competition, just as much there as there is radio, and just as much there as there is writing for other people. It's not like it's this, low hanging fruit that's easy to grab. So
melody is still king.
Melody is still king. And when you
Has
have
to
the right
stand out.
melody, and when you have the right melody, then Sportsnet or whoever these people that wanted to put together a hockey film of people kicking the crap out of each other, and then boom, this is it.
It's pretty cool, actually. I watched I am also a hockey fan. So if anybody watches this and they're hockey fans and they want to see a really beautiful example of sync license in action, but also a song that, dude, you didn't think about the NHL when you were writing this song. You didn't even think about being naked in a mansion.
I didn't know.
I know it. And that's why I'm laughing. So like, I literally was looking at this whole concept, laughing, because I'm like, this is a beautiful example of how you have to start by making it. Like, start making it, and then it can go places, and it goes in a lot of places that you don't necessarily anticipate.
Yeah, well, This Is It, just quickly, I mean, the history on This Is It when it came to the concept and why we wanted to write that song. So I wrote that song with Todd Salter, who's an amazing producer. Canadian, and a songwriter named Lindsay Ray, and she's fantastic, probably one of the best sync writers in the world.
Sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, she's incredible. So we kind of got in the room, and I was explaining to them it was really about, moving on from Walk Off the Earth, and I was going through some stuff in my life where I just kept worrying about the past, and then also worrying about shit, what's going to happen in 6 months, what's going to happen in 12 months from now. And I really had to get to this point where it was like, okay, I got to just live in the present. I got to figure out, not what's happening tomorrow, just what's happening today. And that was what, this is it. Today's the day. And this is what we're going to concentrate on. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what happened, and just concentrate on this.
Man, that's really big in my life. I don't know, like, just as an aside, for like a commissioned salesperson, no, like only commission, you got to be with your client and serving them, not taking advantage of them, not ruining them, not hurting them, not anything. But if you're thinking about even 4 hours from now trying to get the sale or get them to sign up or pay you money, or if you're thinking about, something negative with another client or something that happened and you're not with them in the moment, so that in the last month or so, I've actually been really sitting, like just basically meditating and just sitting and saying, okay, can I just be with myself in this room right now? Can I be here? So hearing your lyrics first, I was like, this song is me, man. And then I open my eyes and watch it, and it's the video. And so there's why I was laughing so hard, because I was like, this is hilarious. It's totally me. And then it's just you like naked in a mansion, just popping popcorn and like watching videos and spraying the hose. Like it was a hysterical laugh, man. So I think you're a damn good sport for doing that. Now, but it's a good thing too, that along the way, like, as an aside, you were very prepared for that, because you're obviously pretty fit. And it wouldn't have gone as well if you didn't have your summer bod in order. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Well, it makes sense, right? Like if it was 10 p.m. the night before, you can't just go and get a buff on. You have to,
I was in good shape at the time. Yeah. I like to keep myself in good shape. That's a pretty big hobby of mine.
Yeah, I like that. And it seems to me that everything you have works in tandem with one another. I'm not going to get into your workout routine, but obviously staying fit helps you keep your mind fit, helps you do the things, have the energy, be up till 2 a.m. with people like Lindsay Ray writing stuff and getting it into the NHL sync payroll.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, listen, I know we were only cleared for a half hour, and I took 48 minutes, so I've extended you by like 60% of your time. Dude, thank you, man. This was incredibly valuable. We're gonna get it out there. I'll have the team let you know when it's edited. Thank you. Seriously, I'm really excited for it. Follow this man. Oh my gosh, you're obviously got it going on, and I'm gonna look into the people you've mentioned and give them a shout, and big thumbs up too, man. Thanks for coming on to Drivewire Radio, brother.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Cool. Have a good one. Okay.
All right, man.
All of my doubts that I believe are weighing me down and drowning me. If I don't fight back,